There's a new report out today from the Washington Times that should make every freedom-loving American stand to attention and recognize that we have entered a very dangerous time in this country. It turns out that none other than the Department of Homeland Security has targeted right-wing extremists, quote-unquote, as potential terrorists in the United States of America. Now, you may say, well, you don't like right-wing extremists. You may be one, though. Are you against abortion? You may be considered a right-wing extremist. Did you in California vote against homosexual marriage? You may be on a watch list of the Department of Homeland Communism. I am asking you, left, right, center, if you think this woman, Janet Napolitano, should be forced to step down for having targeted patriots as terrorists, because it gets worse. According to this report, which we've now posted the entire report from the DHS on michaelsavage.com, and read it for yourself, we ask you, should Janet Napolitano, head of Homeland Security, be forced to resign for having targeted loyal, patriotic Americans as possible terrorists? She's also saying, according to this report, that returning war veterans could be potentially terrorists in America. You voted against homosexual marriage, you are a potential target of this list. You are against abortion, you are possibly on Janet Napolitano's list. These people are slimy vermin, and they should all be fired. First of all, it's unconstitutional. That's number one. But number two, where is the Republican Party standing up for the American people? I am asking you how you feel about this report that came out today in the Washington Times, which we've posted on michaelsavage.com. If you think this is just alarmist BS, then you don't even deserve a nation. You don't deserve a country. You don't deserve freedom. You don't deserve the right to vote. You're a non-person. If you don't comprehend the threat to you, when you see that big sister may be watching you, you don't deserve a nation. You don't deserve the vote. The Department of Homeland Security is under the direction of this unknown governor, Janet Napolitano, who it turns out is monitoring what she considers to be extremist right-wing groups. In other words, do you support borders? Are you against granting amnesty to illegal aliens? You may be targeted by Janet Napolitano's Homeland Security Department. Are you in favor of English only as a language? You may be targeted. Did you vote against homosexual marriage? Well, you may be on the watch list. Again, I ask you, should Janet Napolitano be forced to resign for having targeted loyal, patriotic Americans? Many of you are going to ask what you can do about this communist takeover of America. And make no mistake about it, I have studied revolutions before. We have a revolution in this country. Obama is a revolutionary. He has appointed one radical left-winger after another in one department after another in one legal position after another. And I want to remind you that when Fidel Castro was fighting in the sugarcane fields of Cuba, killing innocent Cubans who stood in his way, shooting them dead without mercy, some of his own men didn't have the stomach to kill the innocent civilians. And Fidel and his murderous henchman, Che Guevara, said, a revolution requires certain actions which may be distasteful, but remember that the ends justify the means. In other words, if you have to kill people to have a revolution occur, then the ends justify the means. And he also said to him, remember what a revolution will entail. A revolution will entail a complete change in the economy of this country, a complete change in the social order of this country, a complete change in the political order of this country. Now, you're telling me that Obama has not already enacted an economic form of communism by taking over banks, and he won't even accept the money back in order to free the banks from the control of his administration? You're telling me we don't have a social revolution that's occurred in this country in less than 100 days? I'm asking you if you understand the danger you are in. I am asking you, if you don't understand the danger you are in, whether you are left, right, or center, you're in danger. Don't you understand that? You have out-of-control elements who are acting in an extra-constitutional manner within the Obama administration, and we don't have a Republican Party to represent us. We don't have one decent Democrat in the entire government to stand up and say enough is enough. You expect that the left wing would say that this goes too far. But why should they do that when they're rolling like pigs and you know what? Charles Schumer, that loudmouth fraud from New York, got $17.5 million for the FDR Presidential Library Museum renovation. You think he cares about freedom and liberty? You think he's a real liberal? Are you people crazy? I warned you that DHS would turn on the American people. I warned you this 2 years ago. I warned you that if there were a terrorist event in America, the first people to be targeted by this spineless, cowardly, communist, federal government would be patriots who own guns. I warned you that 2 years ago, that the government would use any pretext to take your freedom away, to take your guns away. I warned you about it, and I'm going to make another statement. I would not be surprised if we don't have the equivalent of a Reichstag fire in this country within 1 year. And if you don't know what the Reichstag fire was, you better check it out. Because I have a terrible, terrible fear that we have absolute communist radicals running this country. It is worse than I feared. And I am asking you what you can do about it. You can do a lot about it. First of all, go on to the Savage Online poll. You vote. Should Janet Napolitano, the head of DHS, be forced to step down for having targeted patriots as terrorists? If I can get 1 million of you saying yes, maybe we can get 1 Republican or 30 Republicans or 50 Republicans. If there are 50 Republicans, we don't have 50 in the Senate. Maybe I can get 50 patriotic senators to throw Janet Napolitano out of that office and put a real American in there. Can you believe this is happening in your country? Does it not frighten you? If it doesn't, you don't deserve a nation. You don't deserve a country, and you don't deserve a vote. That's my opinion.
We don't need to grow and build and make more conservatives. We need a massive anti-communist movement. This is going to first require an immense amount of education.
I don't think we need a movement. I think we need to throw Janet Napolitano out of DHS. I think we need to start with 1 communist at a time. Now, the question is, how has the homosexual mafia so penetrated America that they could actually target Americans who voted against homosexual marriage as being potential terrorists? How is that possible, Jimmy?
Well, the communist movement, it's the Popular Front, the All People's Front, Afro-Leninist, Homo-Leninist, Enviro-Leninist. The Marxists have been working in this country for about 90 or 100 years. They've never given up. And the stupid conservatives that keep saying we won the Cold War, the communism ended, they are actually helping the enemy now.
Now, what was the Reichstag fire, you may ask, those of you who don't know what it is? The Reichstag fire was an arson attack on the Reichstag building in Berlin on February 27, 1933. And it was that fire that permitted Adolf Hitler to seize total power. How did that happen? Well, someone started a fire in the Parliament building, the Reichstag. A search was conducted by the police. They found that a shirtless, unemployed Dutchman. He was a communist. And they used this evidence, the Nazis used the evidence that the communists were beginning a plot against the German government, and this man and 4 communist leaders were arrested. Didn't end there, though. Adolf Hitler, who had been sworn in as Chancellor of Germany just 4 weeks before, urged President Paul von Hindenburg to pass an emergency decree in order to counter the, quote, ruthless confrontation of the Communist Party of Germany. And what he did was they suspended civil liberties. The government instituted mass arrests, including all of the Communist Party parliamentary delegates. And when they were gone, the Nazis went from being a plurality party to the majority party. It was the Nazis who started the Reichstag fire.
Savage.
Washington, D.C. Ed, you're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Michael. I have a theory of why they came out with that paper today.
Please.
After I got so mad I couldn't see it, my wife had to pick me off the floor. She told me to sit down and relax. And when I go to that demonstration tomorrow, be cool. Don't cause any violence. I think they did it to precipitate violence.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. They want reaction. In other words, they want a Reichstag fire tomorrow.
You got it. You brought the subject
Ed,
up.
See, I tell you that I have the smartest audience, the most perceptive audience in the United States of America, bar none. And you are right. Remember I was talking in the last hour about the Reichstag fire that was staged by the Nazis to gain total power, remember?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I know.
All right. Well, they want the Tea Parties to turn violent tomorrow. Now, I'm going to warn all of you going to Tea Parties tomorrow, watch out for the agents provocateurs inside your own groups. You have no idea whether any of the people standing next to you making believe they're your friend are your friend, or they're put there by the government to cause some kind of insurrection so that you can be seen as right-wing maniacs instead of true patriots, Ed. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Just absolutely right.